Egypt Women on Boards Observatory, founded in 2017 by AUC School of Business, is recognized as a specialized observatory within the framework of the National Council for Women. It aims to increase the representation of women on corporate boards in Egypt to reach 30% by 2030. The 2020 annual monitoring report tracks the representation of women on the boards of EGX-listed companies, the banking sector, the public enterprise sector, and FRA companies. The report also identifies the gap to reach the 2030 target of 30% women on boards. The 2020 Women on Boards indicator is 13% compared to 10% in 2019 due to the entrance of 136 new women to the boards of companies. There are 714 women on boards out of a total of 5,506 board members in the categories included in this report. In the following section, we will review the key takeaways for each category. EGX-listed companies, 239 companies marked a positive increase in female representation on boards from 10.1% in 2019 to 11.6% in 2020, due to the entry of 23 women to the boards of EGX-listed companies. The percentage of EGX-listed companies with 0 women on boards decreased from 53.5% in 2019 to 42.7% in 2020. The percentage of EGX-listed companies with at least 1 woman on their boards increased from 46.5% in 2019 to 57.3% in 2020. 8.4% of EGX-listed companies, 20 companies, have reached the 30% target of female representation on their boards in 2020. 32 women need to be added annually to the boards of EGX-listed companies to reach the 2030 strategy target. The banking sector, 34 banks, has faced a slight decline in female representation on boards, dropping from 14.8% in 2019 to 13.7% in 2020, due to the exit of 3 women from the boards of banks. The percentage of banks with 0 women on boards decreased from 26.5% in 2019 to 20.6% in 2020. The percentage of banks with at least 1 woman on their boards increased from 73.5% in 2019 to 79.4% in 2020. 9% of banks, 3 banks, have reached the 30% target of female representation on their boards in 2020. 5 women need to be added annually to the boards of banks to reach the 2030 strategy target. The public enterprise sector, 114 companies, has encountered a positive improvement, reaching 8.7% in 2020 compared to 6.1% in 2019. Due to mergers and restructuring, the number of public enterprise companies decreased from 120 companies in 2019 to 114 companies in 2020. This explains the decrease in the number of women on boards from 43 women in 2019 to 38 women in 2020, while the female representation on boards indicator increased from 6.1% to 8.7% in 2020. The percentage of public enterprise companies with 0 women on boards decreased from 72.5% in 2019 to 71.9% in 2020. The percentage of public enterprise companies with at least 1 woman on their board slightly increased from 27.5% in 2019 to 28.1% in 2020. 16.7% of public enterprise companies, 19 companies, have reached the 30% target of female representation on their boards in 2020. 10 women need to be added annually to the boards of public enterprise companies to reach the 2030 strategy target. The Financial Regulatory Authority companies, 583 companies, have significantly improved in female representation on boards, reaching 14.7% in 2020 compared to 11.2% in 2019, due to the entry of 80 women on the boards of FRA companies. The percentage of FRA companies with 0 women on boards decreased from 58.8% in 2019 to 47.5% in 2020. The percentage of FRA companies with at least 1 woman on their boards increased from 41.2% in 2019 to 52.5% in 2020. 18.7% of FRA companies, 109 companies, have reached 30% target of female representation on their boards in 2020. 48 women need to be added annually to the boards of FRA companies to reach the 2030 strategy target. The overall gap in the above categories is 945 women to reach the 30% until 2030. Annually, 95 women are needed to join the boards of companies and banks to reach the 2030 strategy target of 30%. 32 women in EGX-listed companies, 5 women in banks, 10 women in public enterprise companies, and 48 women in FRA companies need to be added annually to the boards. In order to support companies to reach this target, the Women on Boards Observatory has compiled a database of Egyptian board-ready women that reached over 450 qualified candidates and provides board placement service for companies. Partners of the Women on Boards Observatory represent a unique partnership bringing together government, business associations, research institutions, international organizations, and non-government organizations. The Women on Boards Observatory works with a number of regional and national networks, including the 30% Club MENA chapter, the Boardroom Africa, Businesswomen of Egypt 21, and the Top 50 Most Influential Women Forum. Research shows that 1 woman is a token, 2 is presence, and 3 is voice.